Hello. It's I, Queen Sensitivity. Kitty is in the building. He's being so kind. I'm very surprised. I don't usually expect him to be this kind. He's being very sweet. Oh, excuse me. Oh, now he's grabbing my hair. Excuse me, Manilly. I need to change my seating position. All right, so I'm going live because I felt called to. I feel like it's the right thing to do. And I'm picking up on a lot of different thingamabobs going on. So first we'll talk about ascension symptoms that I've been experiencing. Just like a brief explanation in case you're unfamiliar with, there we go, with ascension. Ascension is basically what's happening now. I'm sure everybody has heard of like the second coming of Jesus Christ, like when everything will change and everything will be restored to the true ways. That's basically what it is. And I think we all call it ascension because it has to do with, ascending up into the higher dimensions, being in closer, I would say, proximity. I don't even know if that's the right word, but like being more integrated with our higher selves, with source, with Christ consciousness, basically. And so some of the ascension symptoms that I've had today, which is deeply connected, I feel, to the divine masculine, because last night, in case y'all missed it, I posted a YouTube short, Instagram reel, and I did a very lengthy, impromptu, what's it called? Instagram live, where I went into even deeper, explanation of what I was picking up from source in terms of the Twin Flame Collective. I think I might go turn this air off. It might start. Hey, kitty. Oh, kitty. What? Oh, I gotta give him his treats. Give me a second. Okay. I'm back. As I was saying, yeah. In the one I posted in the live video I did for Instagram, I got the message from Spirit that if you felt after that, this like uproar, upsurge of like feeling like insecure, feeling frustrated, feeling overwhelmed, it would most likely be coming from the divine masculine, because they are presently going through a sort of crisis, spiritual life crisis. Everything is spiritual, but you know what I mean? Like they're witnessing these things that held them together crumble because it was never real. Everything is love. Nothing real can be threatened because it's love. Yada yada. So I've definitely been feeling that today. I've been feeling like a despair type of feeling. And on top of that, like physical symptoms that I've had would be fatigue. I felt so tired earlier. It's this kind of fatigue. Hello. It's this kind of fatigue that's like you can't push through it, you can't overcome it. It's like bone tired. That's what I felt earlier, but I wasn't able to get any rest because there was noise here. And then what else? Yeah, and then I had nausea, I had dizziness, I had vertigo, I had a headache, specifically a throbbing here in my my third eye. Oh, thank you. Be so sweet. Thank you. Throbbing here on my third eye, like a pulsing, a tapping there. So I feel like that's a sign of like becoming like more in tuned to myself, my true, more free self, my less compartmentalized self. my more quantum self, ascended self. That's what I feel like. That's what I'm getting like tuned into when I feel those like tappings, pressure on my head, on the side of my head, like pressure in my ears, a little bit of like ear popping, and just like overall in terms of like non-physical symptoms, just feeling very fed up, feeling very frustrated at the ludicrousy of it all. Everything, it's ridiculous. Everything is so ridiculous, and it's like I try, and I feel like most of the time it's bearable because it's like, you know, I've lived here this whole life, and it's like, you know, it's what you know, so it's not that absurd the way that things are working. But then when you really like look at anything too closely, or you look at anything at all, everything is just very strange, very obtuse, and just horrible. And it makes me super duper frustrated, and I'm hearing kind of to get into that a little bit, but let me get these cards because they want me to get them so bad, so let me go get those. All right, yeah, these Starseed Oracle cards are like, put me in, coach. Oh, I have a new pick card that's out today. It's called Messages Meant to Find You. If you're watching this, go watch that. Highly recommend it. Yeah, okay. I've been frustrated for a lot of different reasons. Like, once again, like my videos are getting very little views. Like right now I have nobody watching this. And it's very frustrating when I have 500 plus subscribers and like very little video viewers in every single one of my videos that I work really hard to put out. I always ask people to at least leave a comment, and then nobody ever leaves a comment. Like 2 people give it a thumbs up, and it's just like, these are like just reflections of like the lack of support of the divine feminine. And I'm even hesitating to say that. I feel like a better term for what I'm trying to say is like lack of support for people who are trying to change the world, lack of support for people who are actively working to uplift and to free the collective from this slavery matrix. It's like, it's a lack of support, and it's very frustrating because I even saw it like on my Instagram, like my things I post that I worked really hard for, getting like less likes, 1 or 2 likes, 1 or 2 views, and a few comments. And I'm so grateful for the people who have, you know, sent me messages and who do comment on my stuff on Instagram, but it's like, it's very, very small. And it's like, I don't want to be famous. I don't mind, like, I don't want like attention or anything, but what I do want is for me to be able to be myself and do what I know is the right thing, and do what I'm being guided to do what I know I'm supposed to be doing, and be supported by the people who I'm helping, and also to reach the people that I'm supposed to be helping, to be able to reach my tribe, which is very difficult to do even with the internet and all its vastness. Yeah, because it's like, I'm just gonna get into it. It's because this is the topic that I want to talk about, this frustration in the collective, in the field, with the divine feminine, or just with everybody, divine feminine, divine masculine, everything in between and beyond. It's a frustration. I'm trying to make sure I remember what I even wanted to say. that's one of the ascension symptoms. Like forgetfulness, like it's so intense. I don't even remember a lot of stuff. But I am frustrated by it. What was it? What was the thing that I wanted to talk about? Oh yeah. Doing this is the right thing. This is me being my authentic self. I feel like I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm guided to do this. I cannot do other things. So for example, I've been trying to get like a 3D job. I hate all of them. I don't want to do any of them. But in this world, as it currently exists, you have to be receiving money in order to like have a home, you know, get some water, you know, have a bath and stuff like that. And I'm not being supported with this work. I'm not being supported by the things that I want to do and I'm being guided to do and that I'm meant to do. It's in me. When these huge ass waves of energy come about, I am grandly affected. This is very much, it mostly impacts the people who are highly sensitive, the people who are channelers, people who are diviners, people who are people who are like very spiritual, so to speak. It's like we get like the heavy hits of this shit. And it's like doing double jobs. You know, if I had to, like today I was doing an interview and it's not panning out. And I was just like, during the interview, I was so exhausted because I was being hit by another blast of frequencies from the sun, from source, same thing, different things, doesn't matter. And I'm like rolling in like nausea and dizziness, and I'm supposed to, the ideal, I guess, or the expectation is that I'm supposed to be able to go somewhere and sit in a white office with fluorescent lights for 8 hours a day while I'm also being hit by this shit. And I'm supposed to do this at least 5 days a week consistently in order to be able to deserve a home for myself. And I'm like, when you list this stuff out, it's barbaric. It's completely ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. But yes, it's very hard. When I did have a job that was part-time, it was so hard for me to be able to have to go to that job, even though it was part-time and it wasn't very high maintenance. I would be in there like getting hit by like waves of dizziness, and I would still have to like keep my composure and like continue to be professional and stand up if I need to stand up, and sit down in this specific way and be alert and be you know, very like this, while like these things are happening to me. I'm picking up on all these things while I'm sitting there in this white room with fluorescence. It's just like, it's preposterous. I'm like, I don't know if I'm even capable of doing these types of jobs. I often am very conscious of the fact of, you know, of the way that these working the 8-hour shift, and you know, it's really more than that, because you have to prepare to go to the job. That's usually an hour, 2 hours before, and then you have to come home from the job or wherever you go after that. It's like 12 hours that you're dedicating to this thing that's supposed to be feeding you. And I'm just like, yes, kitty, what would you like to say? I don't know what you want. Here. Ugh. Meow, meow, meow. Okay. What is it? He wants to be in the conversation. Okay. As I was saying, I'm like, I don't even know if it's like even possible for me to be able to do something like this. Over the years, I've gotten more and more sensitive, more and more tapped in. The more that I grow, the more that I heal, the more that I integrate my shadow self, my darkness, the more that I become incredible, the more sensitive I am. I'm like, the person that I am now, I couldn't have done high school. I couldn't have done elementary school. I would have went fucking insane, especially the big ass schools that I went to here. I'm like, there's no way I couldn't have done it. I don't know how people who are highly sensitive do these things. And I remember even then I used to be like, very anxiety stricken all the time, very, very anxious. So yeah, I worry about like how that would even impact. It's like you have to risk becoming ill in order to be able to afford being healthy, and it doesn't make any sense. It's so many of these things that don't make any sense at all, and yet we're all constantly feeding this huge machine that keeps it going. And yeah, that leads me into several things. I think, I don't know, but I saw this video today, and I already knew this, but it was nice to like for it to be put like in like written on a whiteboard. But I saw this video, and it was basically saying that the calendar month is supposed to be 13 months, and that actually the new year is April 1st. Which is why they said, you know, that's why it's April Fool's Day, because it's like they tricked you. And they were saying that the reason that, you know, the Matrix Keepers or whatever the fuck, whatever you want to call them, the ops, did this was to make time seem like it's going faster, you know, aging people more, like backbreaking, you know, type of thing, and also to misalign people with certain like portal days. They're all off. These high impact days, which is why I don't really, that's why I say all the time I don't really go by astrology, because I'm like, it's off. It's not lined up. You go by your own instincts. There are many days that I feel these very strong hits that do not align with the calendar and do not align with when people say these astrological events are supposed to happen. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But that's also a thing that they were saying, and they were saying it's just very obvious stuff if you look into it. I took French in college and in high school, and you know, French, the number 7 is sept. It's set. It's S-E-P-T, which is 7, but September, which is spelled the same way on the calendar, is the 9th month. You know, simple things like an octagon is 8 sides, so oct means 8, but October is the 10th month. Dix in French is 10, and the same thing with a lot of different languages. Dec, D-E-C, means 10, and yet December is the 12th month. Doesn't make any sense. And then also, from my own personal experience, a lot of shit always goes down in April. Every single year, any big event that needs to alter in my life, it happens in April. So I'm like, it makes way more sense for April to be the new year, but that's like a part of like the message that I'm supposed to be sharing today in this energy update of this confusion. And Spirit told me to name this one, what did they say? The balance, resetting the balance or something like that. That's what they said, something about balance, like the scales balancing is kind of what I got imagery of. I found that tree thing that's on the thumbnail for this, but that's what Spirit said. So that's why I feel like that's what's going on, like this state of confusion, this state of disarray. So that came up with the calendars. And then today I went to see the movie The Book of Clarence, which was a waste of my money. I would recommend that anybody who is thinking about going to see that movie, don't pay for it. I would recommend waiting until it becomes available on streaming platforms if you have those, or cable if you have cable. It wasn't as good as it wasn't nearly as good as I thought it was going to be, but I still got something from it. So the Book of Clarence, for those who don't know, it's kind of like this biblical story, but like a modern, I wouldn't even say modern, but yeah, kind of a modern take on it, because there's like a lot of humor and there's a lot of like references to today's time, but it's like a satire almost on a Bible story. I don't really know much about the Bible, so I'm not going to pretend to. I don't even know if there's a Clarence in the Bible, but basically Clarence in this movie is supposed to be becoming the 13th apostle in the group that surrounds Jesus Christ. And the things that I did take from, the things that I did learn from it, I guess, or get what Spirit was trying to say with this movie, is that nothing is as it seems. There's a lot of like lies and shit like that's just everywhere, and it's like the only way to like unweave the web is to go back to source every time. Close your eyes, don't pay attention to all the names, all the words, all the noise. Close your eyes and feel it, and that will be your compass. Let yourself be your compass to the truth. So to talk about a few things by what I mean specifically in this book. So Mary Magdalene, which I know very little about, knew very little about going into this movie, but she was like chained up, and I think that's where like the famous line comes from, where like he without sin, let he without sin cast the first stone. So she was like chained up because apparently she was like a whore. She slept with some Roman guy, whatever. And Jesus came and like paused the stones and whatever. And he turned to like the crowd and said that line, like he without sin cast the first stone. And he called on somebody in the crowd that was one of the stone throwers. And he said, Jezebel. And she was like, how do you know my name? And he was like, don't worry about that. Many people will know your name soon enough. And I laughed at that, and nobody really laughed at the movie theater. I thought it was funny, that part at least. Because it's like Jezebel is like, you know, the known sexy woman, the, you know, the mistress, you know, things like that. And it's like she was throwing all these stones at Mary Magdalene. It's like the irony of that was one of the things I took from that. And then there was also you can't see him, he's being so cute. He's rubbing his little feet on my thigh. There was also confusion around Jesus. So another thing about this movie is that like all these people I mentioned are black except for the Romans. So all these people are black, which is, I don't know how they keep convincing people that like the first people on earth weren't black. I don't know why this isn't like a known thing, obviously. So that was one of the things there. They were black. And like it showed you in their own way in the story how Jesus became like this white man. So basically, and like even the story of like Jesus being crucified in their version of the story, the Book of Clarence. So the Jesus that, you know, is on all the pictures today, the white man with the long hair and, you know, the blue eyes, he was a beggar on the street that was very dirty and just everybody tossed him to the side. And then the Jesus who was the black man, he came and like gave him money in abundance where he could create money out of the palm of his hand, and like healed his spine because he had some sort of backache, and so he was able to clean himself up. And then he got himself tossed in with everybody else who was going to be crucified. And that's how, like, apparently in the story, Jesus became a white man. And then in this story, Jesus actually wasn't the one that was crucified. It was everybody else. And Jesus the one that, like, came and, like, got the guy out of the cave, you know, that represents the egg on Easter, the different layers, got him out of the cave and woke him up from the dead with the holes in his hands. And so it's like Jesus wasn't even crucified ever. Jesus wasn't a white man. It's like all these little things being tossed out of the window, and like unfolding this other story with these very flawed people who didn't really have any magic about them or anything special about them, but were people that were trying to survive in an already corrupt society. And so that's mostly what I took from it. Like, there is, who knows the truth? Who knows what happened, you know? And it doesn't even really matter. It's the symbol of things. And I feel like even more importantly, it's like, what are you gonna do now? And what you should be doing now is to always be checking in with source, checking in with your own self, I feel is the point, I feel like. And also, the person who walked on water in this film was also not Jesus, it was Clarence. And so it's like, it's like this idea that these things could have happened to other people, but it's like because of the lore around it and the lack of truth being spread, it all like conglomerated into all these things happened to Jesus. Excuse me. So yeah, it's like this idea of like things being very confusing. I feel like that's the theme of the day. Things being like in a disarray, unorganized, and just being very nonsensical. in order for them to be brought to balance, I feel, is what the message is. It's like you have to break, what's a good metaphor, Spirit? Because it's like you have to break something in order to like free it. Yeah. Okay, let's go with that. Yeah, let's go with that. So there's this book series that the book is called The Cruel Prince. It's by Holly Black. The Cruel Prince, spoilers, there's book 3 and it's called Queen of Nothing. Yeah. And so in this book, the king gets turned into a serpent because of this like curse thing. And everybody's like, oh my God, the king's gonna be a serpent forever. And the person, like, there's this riddle to it. And it's like, if you must die in order to like create life or to free the king, but nobody wants to kill the serpent because they don't want to kill the king because they're one and the same. But in the end, the Queen of Nothing, the main character, she ends up killing the serpent. And out of the serpent comes the king in his human form again. It's like you have to be willing to let it die in order to get what you want. That's what this is. There's like this chaos. And what's very interesting, I would say, is that like even with all these failed jobs attempts and these failings of me trying to create some sort of financial stability for myself, it's fail. I've never been able to create financial stability for myself. I still know that I'm doing the right thing. I'm confident in myself. I'm confident in what I'm saying, what I'm talking about, and I know that I'm gonna be fine. It's like I know these things and I trust, but at the same time, it's still like very frustrating. And I feel like that's the theme. It's getting out of this idea. Like I know in my heart, and I know from source that like these realities of like this creating abundance through like this very like you get the 9-to-5 job, and then you pay the bills, and then you pay your taxes, and then you have savings, and then like these like step-by-step things they're not reliable and they don't get you to actually where you need to be. But at the same time, it's like these two things are true. It's like at the same time, that way of living is the only reason that I'm even like that I have a room, if that makes sense. And that leads me into like a different thing that I was like guided to watch today. Was this show called Carol and the End of the World. It's a animated series. It's on Netflix. And basically all this stuff is connected. It makes sense. You just have to bear with me. So basically in this world, this animated series, everybody knows the world is ending. There's nothing they can do about it. I think there's this big ass like asteroid or some shit like that's gonna hit the planet. The scientists can't do anything about it, and they have exactly how long before it happens, which is like 7 months away. And so Carol is seeing everybody else is like doing all their wildest dreams. They're going, on trips around the world. Nobody really cares about money anymore. Her parents stop wearing clothes, so they're naked all the time. People are more open about their sexuality. Nobody's really holding a grudge. Like, everybody's so free, and everybody keeps saying, live it up, every second counts. And Carol is just like, I don't want any of this. And so I haven't finished, I'm not even halfway into the second episode yet, but I feel like I've seen enough to make the point that I want to make here, that I feel like what Spirit is trying to say. Carol don't want in on any of that. She don't want to like live her best life. She would prefer to live in the Matrix prison. And so she goes and she sits in an empty Applebee's booth, and she smells the ketchup and opens the menu and remembers a time when society was like that. You take your check from your 9-to-5 job, which only allows you to afford Applebee's, and the people who work there who don't want to work there, they come and they ask you, what would you like to have? And then you do this and you do that. You know what I mean? Like this very like robotic way of living, and she misses that. And so she follows this lady who's all dressed up in a business suit, because that's very odd, because nobody's dressed like that anymore. And she finds this building of people who are still going to work for these 9 to 5 job every day. And you see them in there, and they give her this pamphlet, and they're crunching numbers, these imaginary numbers, because there's no more business, there's no more economy, the world is ending, there's not actually anything to be doing these things for. But that's what they want. They crave that normality. So you see them like typing away on these computers. They get off of work, they get in the elevator, and they're like, man, one thing about elevators is that, they're always going down. Like, they say these like elevator conversation, these businessmen in suits, and it's ha ha ha. And like, she's happy for the first time since she learned the world was ending. And I love this. I love how they showed it, because it's like, these people are literally doing nothing. They make up these imaginary numbers, and they type them in the computers, and you can't see him. He's like grabbing my arm. Thank you, Kitty, for the support. Ow! You need to be sweet. Do not bite me. Anyways. And I feel like it's just, that's what we're doing now. Like, this stuff isn't real. I remember I used to always just be like this even before I knew I was like this. I remember when I was 14 and I told this older guy who was a junior, I thought he was so much older than me. He was like 16. And he was like, I told him that all the money in the world doesn't actually exist. I was like, there's no way. All the money in the world does not actually exist. And he was like, yes, it does. There is money in the bank. And I went home and I told my mama, and she agreed with me. But it's like, think about that. Like, most of the money in the world does not actually physically exist. It's just these numbers on this computer system. It's like, it's not even real. But it like runs everything because we allow it to. And it's just like, I don't know, it's so obvious. And that was the point of that show. It's like, even when it's time for people to like let go, there's still gonna be this need to like, I don't know, stick to this program because you're just so desperate to get away from the freedom that you are. So enough from me. I hope these points have been coming across. We will get some oracle cards. Even though none of this stuff is really from me, I'm trying to convey these complex things from source through the use of these different examples. So the first one we have here that slid down is the Cosmic Heart. This is the Starseed Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell. It says, devotion, potency, make your life a moving prayer. I'm hearing stuff. I'm getting like frustrated. Because it's like, I keep being guided and told to do stuff like this and to create my post. Everything I do, it's from my heart. I've tried to force myself to do things before. It never really works. Everything is always straight from source. Always. And I keep being told to like, make your life a moving prayer. Like, do these things. And like, I barely receive any profit from it at all. And it's not very lucrative at all. Like I said at the beginning, there's very little support. And yeah, there's very little support. There's very little like, I don't know, loyalty. And like, even the people that I've met online who are cool, there's always some sort of falling out because I trigger people all the time. It's just not, it's not very fun. But I think we'll read this one because I saw myself, in my mind's eye, I saw myself reading from this. So let's do that. The Cosmic Heart. It'll be with C's. When you surrender to a state of devotion, you find yourself flowing with all of life. You're being called to refocus your attention deep within, to the intelligence of your own heart, to bow with deep reverence to your inner temple, to live your life in devotion to this place, to make your life one big moving prayer. Perhaps you felt a bit off kilter lately, sensing that the potency of why you're doing things has gotten a little watered down or weak. Perhaps you've forgotten what made you start doing them in the first place. If so, this is your call to take a moment and reconnect with the truth at the very center of your heart, to get back to the essence of what you're about, to devote your life to what you care most about, to turn your gaze deep, 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 deep. There are seasons for harvesting and seasons for sowing. Right now, you're being called to plant your soul seeds and sing to them with deep devotion, to feed them with the sweet waters of your own soul, to lose yourself in the potency of what it is that most expands your heart, to live your life according to what makes you come alive, rather than what everyone else thinks, to make your life one big moving prayer. This is a lot of what I said, like this, like what they say, feeling off kilter, and also needing to like seek the answers from within, seek the truth from within, because that's the only place that it is. And something else that I want to say, which was a theme today, and I think just recently I mentioned in my Instagram live that I had watched Cat Williams' interview. I don't think I clarified. I watched his second one after the big one that was viral. This one was with Willie D, and it was only like an hour and 20 minutes, I think, hour and 30 minutes. So it wasn't the one he did with Shannon. And then this one with Willie D, he was talking about black people and how all the leaders that have been black have all been assassinated. They've never been able to like achieve their goal or reach that pinnacle. One of the easiest examples I can think of is Dr. Martin Luther King. He was assassinated. I'm feeling like this heavier energy now. That's what I felt when I said here, reconnect with the truth at the very center of your heart. And what's interesting is, like, I don't know, people, in the spiritual community never want to talk about black people. They never want to talk about African people. They never want to talk about blackness. And I don't think that's a coincidence, because it's the same with the Bible. It's the same with religion. And one of the points that Cat Williams was making, he was saying, do you ever wonder why white people pay so much attention to black people? You would think that, after there's so much evidence of white people like not liking black people, and there's all this hate, for black people, brown people, dark-skinned people. Why do you keep paying attention to something that you supposedly hate? And he gave this example of, like, let's say you're a liar, like you're taking a test and you've lied and said that you have the answers on your test. The liar knows that the answer is actually on that other person's test. You feel me? They know that the answer is actually on the other person's test. That's why they keep looking over there. That's why there's so much attention on black people, so to speak. And he also brought up the Pharaoh and the Sphinx, which is something I've talked about before, and how they shot off the nose of the Pharaoh and the Sphinx, and how every time people talk about Egypt, which is actually Kemet, it's like Egypt, that's not actually African people, and it's like, that is Africa. Like, everybody knows that, like, the most brilliant humans ever created the pyramids. Like, that's the biggest, dopest fucking people ever created that shit. Like, that's where it is. And, like, nobody is, like, it's like distantly associated with African people, even though it is in Africa. And the nose of the pharaoh was obviously an African nose, and it's like, it's that feeling as well. And I feel like that's also, like, what Spirit was saying with, like, go deep into, like, your ancestry, go deep into where you come from, go deep into your roots, into your root chakra, because I'm hearing this now, everything is about to be reborn, and so that's where you'll start. You'll be reborn where you started. And I've said this before, but we are our ancestors. We are literally literally our ancestors. You're literally our ancestors. We are the angels. We're everything all at once. Everything everywhere all at once. We are our ancestors. We are the future. And we are the present. And I feel like that is something that's important. That's one of the messages is go deep into that. Go deep into your roots because everything's about to be rebirthed. And so that's where it will start. And what's interesting is Ramona has like references many times. She talks a lot about Lemuria. Lemuria, and people talk about Atlantis, you know. But apparently Lemuria is like, that's where it started at, and how she was saying that it would go back to that, but also new and approved because the split firstly occurred within the families. I don't know. I feel like I'm like chopping up all the things that she says and like putting it into here because she explains this thoroughly. But basically what she was saying is that like in order to be betrayed by the outside, so in order to be betrayed or, you know, infiltrated, let's say, by these reptilians or by these outside shadow beings, there has to be some sort of betrayal within first, in the group. Because ain't no way in hell they can't get in, you know, if they don't know the things. So the betrayal has to happen within. And this is why I say all the time, like, I'm like, Black people are the most, I feel like, obvious, like, retelling of this story, that's never ended the whole time, over and over and over. There's so much, so many attacks, so many interference to the Black family, targeting specifically, you know, the father figures. Like, there's so much targeting to him, which then like crackles and spreads within the rest of the family, and then it's very easy to like control and manipulate people whose family unit, because that's the root, that's where everything starts from, that's the root of the tree. It's very easy then to manipulate, control, interfere, fuck with, you know, pillage, you know, these already broken units at the bottom of the roots. I don't know if I'm making sense, but I have, and that is, and so that's why Spirit is encouraging me to go deep within and to seek the answers within, because the outside, and there's a lot of confusion because they're being uprooted. And if you go to the end, to the beginning, and that's where you'll like be okay, because there's like, no, a storm. What's that saying? It's like the tree with the deepest roots will like still be standing after a storm, something like that. Like, go to the root storm, because it'll blow away like the little branches and stuff, but the roots of the tree will be fine. All right. What else? All right, got two. We have same thing. Trust the timing and forge don't follow. If I had a dime for every time I've gotten these time cards, I've got this one. And earlier today when I shuffled, I got the wait, it's not time yet. It's frustrated. I always get these time cards, and it's like you live off of sitting still. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm always being encouraged by Spirit to like just sit back, like let it happen, let it unfold. And it's like the more that I did that, the more days went by I didn't get any money. And now I'm getting more and more in debt. But anyways, Spirit don't care about that. So it says trust the wave you came in on, time is now running out. I feel like this goes back to what I was mentioning earlier. Calendar and like things being spent, and like there is like this pressure, like despite my shenanigans of what I I feel like what's this point the Spirit's trying to make is like even if time speeds up, and even if the world starts shaking, you're the thing worth taking with me. It's a song by the neighborhood, I think. Anyways, like even if time speeding up and it feels like there, even if it's been this many days or this much time since started, I don't know, want your dream home or something, and it still hasn't happened, it doesn't mean that it won't happen. It mean these negative connotations that we've been taught that come with the passage of time. It's like Spirit saying with this, you are eternal, and so you can't really be messed with. Which again goes to the roots under the ground. You can't really be touched. It's like they can change all these things around you, but ultimately, um, this outside of the construct, as well as within, as well as because everything. Um, yeah, I was hearing like Prince, who was a friend of Cat Williams. Coincidentally, nothing's a coincidence. But I remember I've seen all. I'm sure everybody has these videos of Prince where he's like, he's saying all these weird things. One of his weird things that he said was like, celebrate my birthday because why? And that's like he was like saying basically like government's way of like or I don't know the government specifically, but you know what I mean, like girl's way of like aging you. Like why do we celebrate your birthday? Because every year you're constantly telling yourself, now I am older, and like you age yourself. And I feel like that's what Spirit is saying, like go deep within, pull back out of this, out of these ideas that don't, because you are eternal. So it's not even about like trusting the timing, so to speak. It's trusting the alignment. It's trusting that spirit will align and move events towards you. Does that make sense? That's my like ankle. Look at it. So this forge don't follow. It says pave a path, be the leader you wish you had. I'm feeling called to read this one too, so I'll do that. Where's the F's? Okay. If you wait paved, you won't be forging your own path. You'll likely not even take the first step. Don't let a small detail like being unable to way be the reason you don't step forward and lead. Let it be the reason that you do. The most courageous and needed leaders are the ones who don't or until the morning they wake up feeling ready. Take a deep breath, put one foot in front of the other, and figure it out as you go. They don't wait for someone to lead them, they lead themselves. This is a card for leaders. You're here to pave a path that hasn't been walked before, to go first and lead the way for others who are calling you in. If you feel misrepresented in the media, step forward for all those who also feel misrepresented. If no one's speaking out on the topics you feel passionate about, share your unique voice. There's no one on earth who comes close to possessing your unique combinations of skills, gifts, and life experience. Don't look to those who have come before you to work out your path. Leaders must forge their own. Do it for your daughter. Do it for the younger you. Do it for the leaders who'll follow. When you go first, you make it easier for others to follow your lead. Forge, don't follow. Wow. This is putting me on. I feel like this is a lot of stuff that Cat Williams mentioned. Like I said before, like how all the black messiahs or whatever you want to call them have all been assassinated. And the guy that was interviewing Cat Williams, Willie D is his name. It was so funny because I kept reading the sign. I was like, Willied. His name is Willied. No, it was Willie D. um, yeah, the guy was saying, he was like, why do people have to be, why do people have to be followers? Why can't everybody be like their own leaders? And Cat Williams was saying how you don't need 13 shepherds to lead a herd of sheep. You just need one. You just need one, and so the other sheep can just focus on eating the grass. And I thought that was very interesting because I mentioned the serpent earlier with the example of the snake, was the head of the snake. Now, the body of the snake follows the head of the snake. That's why it only needs to be a few. I don't know if you've heard of like the 100 monkey effect. 100 monkey effect. It's like when a certain amount of monkeys doing this one thing, then all the monkeys will start to do the one thing. And you don't need a lot of people to be taking. I don't know. I don't know the head. You just need one really good head, and it's like the really good head. Like I have been struggling to get to the top. Like I said, uh, I think I'll just give like an example. Ramona Lappin. I talk about her all the time, and the reason why is the most authentic, genuine people that I've ever seen on the internet. And I feel like anybody can pick this up, her energy. And it's interesting because the times that I've participated in her like more privatized Zoom calls where she does the light language assisted activations, and other people who are in the group, they speak up, and I usually don't like these people. I wish them the best, but the things they say, I'm like, I don't like their vibe. I don't like what they're saying. I feel like they're like hiding something. Her mom will come into the conversation and she'll like blast through. You can feel it. She's being very authentic, very genuine. And it's like, I feel like she would do so much damage to the Matrix, and she does. Even now, I don't want to like say that she's not, because this is fully done. Like, this is here, this is happening now. That's why. That's why Spirit's like, go to the roots. Later on, roots to color red. But anyway, it's like there are so many of these speakers online, and the amount of following and support she has is dismal compared to a lot of these leaders who ain't really saying shit, who are putting forth these narratives of like the love light, and like, oh, everything is nice. And these people, this is the same topics that I've been saying. I'm reiterating the same stuff because the point still needs to be cut. These are people who have spouses. They have these support. They have these friend groups. When they call, people show up for them. People don't mind donating to them. People don't mind, writing comments and supporting them and all these things. And then you have Ramona, who I said is one of the only people that I've found on the internet, like being these trailblazers of magnificent holy fire. And like in the comments, there are still people who like tell and like stop being so angry, and she doesn't know what she's talking about. Like, it's like all these cruel things get said to her, but then I go, other people, like I said, with mega platforms and like, really not sharing very helpful in terms that the information hasn't helped me. I'll tell you that it didn't help me, and I listened. um, like there's just so much support for them. It's been like this inversion, and it's being flipped now, flipped already, and I feel like there is a bit of like reality catching up to reality. If that makes sense. Time is it's very interesting. I feel like I've also been shown, or I feel like it hasn't actually been as long as we think it has, which, kind of make go according to like the 13 calendar year versus the 12 calendar year. There's an extra month. If you add up that this extra month has been like you're not accounted for in time, that it's like this illusion of fear will be the things to kill you versus the actual things that could kill you, which has been taking us out. I'm saying a lot of stuff, and I feel like it all makes it very difficult for me to like it sometimes, especially because I get nervous. I'm like, oh, nobody's gonna listen to this, and I'm like I'm like pouring out like this stuff, it impacts my body, and I do it for free. I'm doing this for free. Don't really get much from it except for the that I will be provided for, and I will have a nice life. I'm very grateful. I feel like now I'm gonna get cards for the twin flames. I feel, but I think I'm gonna start with Oracle deck first. I feel like that's important because I feel, like I said, it's like right now I feel like the most impacted person, so to speak, even though it's a collective energy, is the divine masculine. They have been coming up, excuse me, quite strongly. Yeah, the divine masculine. I had like a very, very vivid dream this morning with the divine masculine in there. It's like, yeah. So this is the Feminist Oracle deck, and it's by Laura Callahan. You're welcome to donate. I'll have links in the description, and please watch my new pick card reading. Where is my selenite? I have a new pick card reading that's out. I found it. Here in the dark feminine as well. Yeah, it's important. I'll try. I think I'm supposed to like start doing more of these. I think I'm supposed to do more of these. I feel like it'll help with my pains that I experience quite often. Very, very often. Oh man, I'm hearing like things. Yeah. Welcome back, Kitty. He likes the sound of the cards, and so he always comes back when I have these cards. Yeah, I feel like, should I say this? But I guess that's my answer. Yes or no? I'm like, should I share this? Yeah, I think I will. I'm a very blessed person. I'm very grateful for many things in my life, but there's a lot of experiences that like I haven't been privy to because of I know that I'm here for a reason, and I'm like a certain way, and I don't feel sorry for myself although I used to, and sometimes I do some still, but I feel like it's important that I say this. It's like, I know I missed out on a lot of like and I still do. I missed out on a lot of stuff in order to like be of service to myself and what my soul is like telling me to do. It's like it hasn't been an option for me to stray, if that makes sense. And I feel like that's important to say, because what do you want me to say, Spirit? I keep getting like different like things to say. So I think one of them is like relationships. I was listening to this artist that I recently found, and I love his work. And in one of his songs, he had like this audio clip at the beginning, and it was like, I wrote this album about this relationship that I was in since high school, and it took me like a while to recover from that. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't know. What I was thinking when I heard that, I'm like, I didn't date anybody in high school. Like, I haven't really dated anybody ever. I'm like, I don't have like the privilege of being disassociated from myself, if that even is a privilege. I feel like it is in a certain way, because it's like the more like dissociated and asleep you are, the less you are aware of like the fact that something's wrong with reality, something's wrong with the way that things are, which is very crushing. I feel like that's important. I don't know why. I feel like that's important. It's like Cat Williams, he said that the reason he's never done hard drugs is because at a young age he said he never got the chance to see like the upside to drugs, like you take them and like you're like, yay, like he never saw like that side of it, like the party having fun side of it. He saw the consequences of it. And I feel like that is a trope of very magical people who are meant to shake shit up. It's like you never got like that. And I feel like you can even say this with like Beyonce, like she didn't get like the high school getting to date, even though, you know, she's obviously very blessed. But it's like it's a lot of having this sense of awareness of how things work is like, it's very heavy, and like you don't get the glitz and glimmer of it as well, because it's like the glitz and glimmer of it is a distraction from the fact that you're not living the true abundance, which is something that I've said before. I remind myself all the time of like these dreams that I have of like this earthly, or this 3D, I should say, success are still too small. Like living in a house in Malibu, I don't want to do that, but this is an example. You know, living in a house in Malibu, that should not be the goal. The goal should be all of this. Every place on earth should feel as magical as Malibu is supposedly supposed to feel. Does that make sense? And I feel like since this is coming up while I'm pulling these cards, or whilst I've pulled these cards for the Divine Masculine, this might be something the Divine Masculine is like realizing or dealing with. We have Margaret Atwood and Jermaine Greer. We have Greta Thunberg and Agnes Varda. And we have Sojourner Truth and Sheryl Sandberg. So I feel with these, and then the message for the Divine Masculine would be they're having some eye-opening experiences with these. Some eye-opening experiences that are shifting the way that they perceive success. So I feel like what I was saying about this feeling, like feeling sorry for yourself, I feel like some masculines out there, or maybe this is collective energy, like they've been feeling sorry for themselves, like comparison to other people, in comparison to other masculine people. And it's like realizing that that person they were comparing themselves to isn't actually winning. It's like, I'm good, you can keep that. I'm getting that movie Jerry Maguire, where Jerry Maguire was like chasing fame and chasing success the whole time. And at the end, when he finally, like his client won the deal, or I don't know, won the game, I haven't seen that movie in a while, like he realized like the true pinnacle of, what's his name, Cuba Gooding Jr., his character, the true success in his life was not being an NFL player and winning the Super Bowl. It was that he got to come home and hug his wife afterwards. And Jerry Maguire, who was Tom Cruise, he flies back home and like does that huge confessional speech to his girl. And like what he says, like, you had me hello. It's like that feeling. It's like realizing, like I said, the success that they were reaching for isn't what it isn't what it's chucked up to be. It's not actually winning. It's like that, like I said, that kind of crisis sort of feeling. And all these cards, there's a lot of red, but there's also blue with this Sojourner Truth card. I'm hearing that song I See Red. I See Red from that the movie 360 Days. It's like seeing the error of your ways, or seeing what you've done in a different light. There's not, it's a red light. It's like it's not a good lighting. It's like, oh shit. Because I feel like what's been happening for the Divine Masculine is there's been like this distance from, there has been this distance from the heart, this distance from the self, and kind of living outside of their body. And so they've been acting in this like tunnel vision kind of way. I want this thing, I'm tunnel vision. And it's like when you connect back in from your body, what becomes the distance part of yourself would be like that toxic linear way of thinking. Does that make sense? So you have, once you connected back with your heart, you have separation from your ego, from your false ego self. And when you view it from the outside, these choices that you made that you thought were for the best, that you thought were getting you somewhere good, are actually not good. This is something, because I'm seeing it in my mind. I'm like seeing these different like things float in my mind. It's like this feeling of like you didn't see their face. I'm seeing this man who's like, it's like the, what's it called? The Scrooge movie, the Christmas movie with the Scrooge, and he like gets visited by those ghosts, and he like sees his life from the outside. He's like, oh shit, did I do that? I don't know, I'm seeing like this businessman whose main goal is like to make money and be profitable in this business. And that's what he saw, like that was it. And so now that he's reconnected with his heart, and now he's outside of that false ego self, he sees the day that he like left home and like slammed the door, and he didn't see the part where he slammed the door in his son's face. He kicked me. He like kicked me off because I don't know, Kitty, what's wrong? Like he did, like the guy did in his son's face, and of course here the son, it always, that's inner child, the child always does. It's like, oh, I didn't see that part where Laura, my son's face, I didn't see that part. It's like now I see this part where I did all these things wrong when I was thinking in this very like narrowed linear mindset that I was doing these things right. I wasn't. Get into, I see red, red, executioner style. All right. Children of Truth, United States, 1787. Hello, Kitty. 1883. Sojourner Truth was born into slavery in New York as Isabel Bumfree, but changed her name in 1843 after a religious experience. Excuse me. She fled slavery with one of her after an abolitionist family bought her freedom $20. True later moved to New York City and became a Methodist preacher. As an engaging public speaker, she was invited to give speeches at abolitionist and anti meetings. She also led women's activity, activities and became a champion of suffrage cause. She won staunch supporters in 1951 after her famous lecture on the intersection of race and gender, known today as Ain't I a Woman, in which she called attention to the oppression of particular through her own experiences. So yes, this woman was a writer, and she helped to the people. It's like once she was free, she didn't just go on and like live her life as, you know, a free woman. She also encouraged others and gave speeches to people who disagreed with her or didn't see her point of view in order to like emancipate their minds and free them. Let's do Sheryl Sandberg. I feel her too. This is that Facebook person. That's weird anyway. I don't really like Facebook like that. Have you ever tried to delete a Facebook account? They make that shit almost impossible. Sheryl Sandberg is one of America's most successful business people and was the first woman to be elected to Facebook's board of directors. As the corporation's chief operating officer, she is one of the most powerful people in the tech industry. Her diverse feminist manifesto, Lean In, Women, Work, and the Will to Lead 2012, became an international bestseller that spurred a whole movement. Sandberg went on to establish a not-for-profit organization, the Lean In Foundation, to educate, encourage, and support women towards achieving their goals. So yeah, both these people have the same thing in common. They're both writers, and they both, once they got success, they went and like helped other people to reach that same point. And since this is coming up for divine masculines, I feel like that is something that's happening with some of them, or, you know, like I said, just in general in the collective, is like as these realizations come up and they see these truths and see the lies and stuff, they're also going to step up and help. I'm hearing clicks. I hear you. I'm hearing the clicks in my room. They're also going to step up and help other divine masculines to come to their senses. I don't really like a lot of the, you know, twin flame divine masculine people that I've seen do these types of videos, because I feel like they still weren't tapped in. But like I said, that this is something I pick up in a lot of people, most people. But I have seen a few. What's it called? I think it's that lady, what's her name? Loved by Angels or Guided by Angels. Guided by Angels is the account on YouTube. Her twin flame does this. I don't know if he's improved since the last time I watched him, which was probably like 2 years ago. But he used to try to encourage, he used to channel messages and stuff for the collective as well. And a few other men I've seen, probably like 2 or 3 were divine masculine twin flame relationships step up. But I feel like it's more, it's time, and I feel like even those men, those people that identify as men and also masculines who don't, are gonna be stepping, or they're gonna be having like a heart opening that connects them more in tune with their divine feminine within. Because I feel like they're like accepting your divine feminine, like, you know, during twin flame dynamics, you know, you have the divine feminine, divine masculine. There's accepting her, and like, I don't know, some of them like live with them. Then there's like knowing her. You know what I mean? It's a difference. It's like respecting to them, and then like being in their shoes and saying, oh shit, I gotta really get it now. and vice versa. I feel like that's what's happening. There's this opening, there's this aha moment. Like I said in the Jerry, maybe I need to watch that movie tonight. There's this aha moment of like, oh, now I see truly this is the shit that I was missing the whole time. And now I'm gonna like not only fix it in my life, I'm gonna go back and encourage other people to fix it too. Is what I'm picking up. So let's get some messages. What would we getting messages from? Let's say what I want to say. Heard that song High and Brighten by Fizz, the band Fizz. I'm such a dork. Let's see. All of these. And all of these. Oh, this one too. Two of these. How many flipped over? Okay. So we have, I feel so lonely, I'm sorry, I can't talk. I'm just gonna go off. It pains me to hurt you. I feel like this is like them to like themselves, like them to their false ego. Like, I'm sorry, I have to like go against my traditions. And probably even some friends, they like, I can't hang out with y'all no more. Or maybe even a partner, romantic partner. Like, this is no longer my truth. This connection is no longer serving me. I'm sorry, but I gotta go be with my divine counterpart. I know you are the one, I just don't show it. Yeah, see, I just said that. Being apart kills me. That's twice. Pains me to hurt you. Being apart kills me. Lots of pain. Like I said, I say this all the time. I said this, like, if you betray your divine feminine, you are not happy. You're not happy. A man who don't take care of his family can't be rich. Period. Like, you betray your divine feminine if you're not with your divine counterpart because you chose not to be, because you chose somebody else, somebody trifling, you know, you're not going to be happy. You're not going to feel joy and be fulfilled. And this works with everything in life. This is not a particular group of people. If you betray yourself, this goes for anybody. If you betray yourself, you're not gonna be happy. You live in a lie. I'm sorry I disappeared on you. It's returning now. I remember you from past life. Yeah, you know. I'm missing you more every day. I need to make some more of these cards. What? What are you doing? I prayed for you to find me. Everything is falling apart as I fall in love with you. I heard fall back in love with you. But this is what I was talking about, like that feeling of everything is falling apart. I can't get to you soon enough. Somebody who ghosted. Childhood friends and Backstreet Boys. And I'm feeling one more or a few more. What else? I don't know. What else would you like to say? I heard I'm still in love with you. You're the only one. I miss you so much. My friends are influencing me. I heard I'm influencing my friends now. It's like I heard like I'm doing that to them. Like I said in the beginning when I was picking up, like, the divine masculines generally are like, yeah, stepping away from their friends because they're realizing that their friends weren't serving them. Their friends weren't doing them justice. Their friends weren't helping them to go down the right path in their lives. I don't know. These massive higher self-integrations. Oh shit, like, I'm not supposed to be here. I don't like this place. You can call me. I've been wanting you to. We're going to make some calls. I'm stepping up, but in my own way. I'm feeling. Thank you so much. Comment, share, like, subscribe. Um, welcome to donate, and I do personal reading if you to like if you'd like to support me in that way by saying one of my spiritual services. I can't talk. Bye from me and the kitty.